All right, welcome back. I'm Barnaby Ryan,
I'm Jason Harris.
and this is Ryan Harris Crypto.
All right, you guys, jumping into the market here. We have the overall crypto market cap at $2.09 trillion. Slightly down over the past, previous days from the nice run we've seen up. Yeah, you can see it right there. Nice little pitfall down. Still above, you know, March 27th. So finding a little bit of a higher low in the market. Let's dig it down in some particular prices. What do we got going on here? Bitcoin 44,000, so back down below $45,000 mark.
Kind of expected that at this point with such a sudden rise. We get the feel for it. It can go up over time, but for it to go up, I think healthily, it has to come back down every now and then after a few steps.
Yeah, if you look like the longer time frame as you look out, like towards the 60-day, for example, we still see it's up 21%. Ethereum up 30% in the 60 days, still holding at 3,200. We have some stories about some stuff that's going on out there that could be part of the cause for this current dip. I know one of the stories I'm going over today is talking about some FUD in the EU. And let's see other prices. We got Solana looking good, over $122. So green across the board all the way until you get to the 90-day. How's our favorite Terra Luna doing? Down a little bit for the week we see, but look at that 60-day, 130% up. I mean, incredible. Same thing for Avalanche, 41% up at $93. Let's see. Anything else interesting in there? Not really.
Still it's peppered. Like it's market's doing really good.
Yeah, some slight decreases for sure across the board, but I mean, even with the rise we've seen, like not everything's fallen down to where it was before this latest rise.
Look, I haven't seen that before.
Yeah, Waves has been on tear lately. Actually, look at their 30-day, 207%.
Yeah, 30, 60, 90. Yeah,
awesome. Why don't you jump into your first story?
All right. So my first story is from Crypto Potato, Rio de Janeiro to accept cryptocurrency payments for taxes report. So Rio de Janeiro announced plans to become Brazil's first city to accept Bitcoin for tax payments. This is bullish news for crypto adoption. We've heard this before, but funds will be automatically converted into fiat. I don't really know what the intention of that is, besides if it was like, oh, so the government isn't holding it, but me as the government officer am buying it off of the government, or I'm requesting to get paid in it. To be honest, that's just what I would do if I were there. I'd be like, you know what? Hey, that thing we just got tax payments in. Do you think you'd give me my check in that? Because we know they're not holding on to it, but would you really just sit there and let it slip by? I don't think. I don't know. I think that depends, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. Definitely not a case of they want your crypto, right? I mean, if they're automatically going to convert it back into fiat,
they want the profits from it.
Just adoption, right? Like you said, bullish for adoption. Another use case, a real world use case for crypto.
I thought this was really interesting. So they actually want to enter the NFT sector as well. With some suggestions have merged that they create NFT images of their tourist attractions. So that's an interesting one. I haven't heard anywhere else before. I've never heard of a city trying to get into NFTs.
Yeah, I haven't really heard that either. Surprised El Salvador is besides Ukraine, right? Ukraine, not a city, but they had an NFT project to raise funds. But surprised El Salvador, Miami haven't come up with that idea first. I think that they would be leading the way with that.
We'll see, right?
All right, so let's jump into one of my stories here. We have This is from Crypto Potato as well. MicroStrategy to buy more BTC following 205 million Bitcoin collateralized loan from Silvergate. So our favorite Michael Saylor at it again. So a subsidiary of MicroStrategy called MacroStrategy is going to utilize this $205 million loan. And what are they going to do with it?
They're gonna buy Bitcoin.
They're going to buy more Bitcoin. And that's literally the goal. That's, kind of his shtick. That's what he says. It's like, you take out debt to buy this asset. Like that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to use his own money. He wants to use as much money from other people as he can because he believes in the long term of this asset. We hear so many times, right? Like never take out a loan, but hey, when you got as much money as Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy, I guess that seems to be the way to go. So I'm gonna go get a payday loan with 300% APY
Stop it.
and buy all Bitcoin. Just kidding.
Not financial
No, I'm
advice.
just kidding. Please don't do that.
Terrible financial
Yeah,
advice.
I would never do that. Terrible financial advice for you and I, but yeah, definitely the way to go for him. So it says right here, for sure, we'll use the funds to purchase more portions of the primary cryptocurrency. It's also going to pay fees, interest, and expenses related to loan transactions. But yeah, that's really pretty much just the article. He's buying
and
more Bitcoin,
rich
accumulating more
people,
Bitcoin,
rich companies getting richer
and
news.
not using their own money. That's,
the,
I guess, the way to do it.
That's Michael Saylor's method, and we've said everybody has their own strategy, right? So
yeah, that's
we're
his,
just
micro and macro strategy right there.
I guess the point we're making is if this all turns out to be a nothing burger and it's all bunk, Michael Saylor is going to be hurting a lot worse than you or I.
Yeah, a lot of money, millions and millions.
All right. So speaking of other influential people in the crypto space, which is weird, again from Crypto Potato, they were just on fire with some of these today. Senator Ted Cruz introduces a bill to prevent the Fed from issuing a CBDC. So Ted Cruz announced a bill restraining the Federal Reserve from launching a central bank digital currency CBDC directly to the broad society in January of this year. This was first submitted by Congressman Tom Emmer, and Emmer's bill is legislation that aims to prohibit the federal state from developing a direct-to-consumer digital dollar to Americans. He believes that the Fed could use such product as surveillance tool similar to what China does. Senator Cruz said, the federal government has the ability to encourage and nurture innovation in the cryptocurrency space or completely devastate it. This bill goes a long way in making sure the government doesn't attempt to centralize and control cryptocurrency so that it can continue to thrive and prosper in the United States. We should be empowering entrepreneurs, enabling innovation, and increasing individual freedom, not stifling it. Honestly, couldn't have said it better myself.
I like those words.
I really like those words in relationship to crypto. Like, that's literally everything that we say that we stand for in this community. That's what we want. We want clarity, right? In what's illegal. That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
What's outright illegal? Other than that, government needs to shut the heck up.
Yeah. What can't we do?
And then get out of the way, right?
Yeah. We will.
Yeah. What do you not want us doing? Absolutely. And that's it, right? So the senator's bill is a companion legislation to Congressman Tom Emmer, who introduced his proposal on January 18th, of this year. Later, revealed that he is glad that Senator Cruz has supported his vision. He says that the Fed must only craft a CBDC framework that is open, permissionless, and private. Kind of sounds like the rest of crypto. Anything less puts Americans on the road to CCP style financial authoritarianism. I completely agree. I definitely don't want digital money that is tracked by the US. But But again, if it's going to be something that's open source, right? Might as well be Bitcoin.
I love this next portion you have highlighted right there. Can you read that, please?
What, this part?
This part.
Oh, this part. Who is this? Oh, this is Ted Cruz again. So he says the Chinese communists and Elizabeth Warren both want to control your assets, your savings, your speech, your life, your children, every decision.
Hide your children.
Hide your children. Hide your Bitcoin. Hide your speech. Obviously, Ted Cruz is very pro Bitcoin, because he feels that the asset, represents freedom and decentralization, and it's something that authorities, the government cannot control. Something obviously very different from what they're trying to do with CBDCs. I mean, personally, I feel like decentralization should, like, we as Americans should feel very at home with that word, right? Why is there 50 different states in this country? It's to decentralize power, to prevent one small entity from controlling the rest of it, right? Yes, we have Federal Reserve, we have not Federal Reserve, we have the federal government, right? And its job is basically to tell us, all right, what are the things where nobody should be doing, right? That's what you want. Other than that,
is up to you guys.
Other than that, there's 50 different ways to be an American. I mean, on the state level, for a reason. That's
no wonder why we're thinking about moving to Texas.
Hey, that's the beautiful thing about this country. We can pick different stuff. I actually think that this one rolls back into your theme there.
I would say this one does a better job.
Okay.
From cryptosaurus.com, speaking of decentralization and attack on freedom and privacy, we have here from cryptosaurus.com, European Union votes to crack down on non-custodial wallets. And this is rumored to be one of the major catalysts and driving forces of this current downturn. Because this is an attack on decentralization, on the freedom that we're inherently wanting from cryptocurrency and this new innovative system, right? So digging down into this article, a reporting from Patrick Hansen, head of strategy, at Unstoppable DeFi, the UE has voted on regulation that will harm crypto in Europe. So basically what this vote is about a crackdown on unhosted wallets. So non-centralized exchanges like trust or non-custodial wallets like Trust Wallet, Ledger, MetaMask, Phantom, and so many more that, if you're in the space, you're utilizing to hold your coins. You have your private keys, right? And it's not a cold storage wallet, it's the hot storage wallet, but this would basically require KYC anytime from a centralized exchange like Coinbase to or from any one of these non-custodial wallets. So it could potentially make it so if you're sending coin or receiving coin from someone who's not a Coinbase customer and you're sending it or receiving it from or to your Coinbase, it's going to add a layer of difficulty. It's going to stifle and not allow that transaction to easily happen, or at least make it a lot more costly. Pretty much is what this article digs down into. And you can see this graph up and to the right here exploding. I wish that was the crypto market cap chart right now, but that's the adoption or users of MetaMask as an example on monthly active users in 2021. But yeah, more people are using these non-custodial wallets, and the UE is not making it easy to do so and to work with centralized exchanges. But Barnaby's talked a lot about this before, and we talked about the need and the want to be as decentralized as possible. So perhaps moving further and further away from centralized exchanges would be the best course of action if this was to pass. Now, this isn't said and done. It's not the end of the legislation there, but definitely not a bullish thing for crypto, not a bullish thing for decentralization and freedom. Because of the nature of non-custodial wallets, as Brian Armstrong. This basically is de facto kill switch on them. It's really anti-innovation, anti-privacy, and the regulation actually will disallow entities like Coinbase to even process a transaction from a non-custodial wallet, and without collecting like KYC from the wallet owner. So we'll have to wait and see. Like we said, this hasn't passed yet, something that we're going to keep our eye on. But it's really against privacy, against, the UE's work to be a leader in, privacy law and policy, and not something we want to see here. So,
Well, that's definitely, yeah, that definitely goes with the theme that we're seeing, in Western governments. We're moving more towards surveillance, right? Not less.
yeah, it even says the more we lean on centralized entities, like Coinbase, the more likely crypto is going to become no more significant than PayPal was. So, definitely interesting. We're going to keep an eye on it, and we'll let you guys know updates.
Yeah, for sure. I like he brought up this graph here, with MetaMask monthly active users, like, basically skyrocketing. It's what we see with everything, right? We see diminishing supply, we increase number of wallets, increased number of active users, increased DeFi users, increased game users, right? What I would actually be interested to see here is what Britain's what the UK's reaction is to this, because they're no longer apart since 2018, or was it 2020? One of the two, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm gonna look it up again. But they're no longer a part of the European Union. They've officially separated. So I'm curious to see what they're doing, because the main reason that I could find that they separated was for financial reasons, because the euro is actually not doing is doing worse than the pound. So that was one of the main factors, right? Is that the EU is actually dragging their economy down. So yeah, I'm interested to see.
Yeah, well, it's going to drive more innovation and more innovative technology to other places that are not in the EU if this passes. So
you can try to squash it, EU, but it's just going to move somewhere else. It will not work. All right. So my next one is from Finbold. IMF warns Russian sanctions could boost use of crypto and erode the dollar's supremacy. We've gotten red flags like this before. We know that there are many agencies, right, that are, and individuals, public figures, that have warned of the dangers of crypto that crypto has on the existing system. Says here, as the Russian invasion of Ukraine enters its second month, the top International Monetary Fund, geez, I can't speak, IMF official has warned that the financial sanctions imposed on the invading country, including restrictions on its central bank, could have some wide-reaching effects on currencies. Gita Gopinatha, forgive me, I'm not pronouncing that right. What do you think?
Gita Gopinath.
Gopinath, thank you. The first deputy managing director at the IMF believes that there are indications that some countries have begun renegotiating the currency in which they get paid for trade. She said in a Financial Times interview, quoted Insider on March 31st, the dollar would remain the major global currency, even in that landscape, but fragmentation at a similar level is currently quite possible, she explained. So the current she believes that the current situation would encourage the adoption of currencies other than the US dollar, which is what we've been seeing, right? We know that people are using it. We know that it even goes into it here. We know that it's being used for donations, right? So with over 90% of Bitcoin in circulation, its inflation is at only 1.7%. Which is currently 5 times lower than the US dollar, which obviously, this is a very viable hedge against inflation. So Bitcoin has been increasing since the beginning of the invasion. We just talked about this, right? We're sitting at $2 trillion market cap again. Obviously, yeah, cryptocurrencies have proven their utility. We have earlier, right, the donations to the truckers protest in Canada, the US truckers protest. We have $100 million that was donated to Ukraine, right? Is that what I'm saying? Yep. It's funny, it's about Russia, right? But there's barely any talk about about Russia itself, mainly, right? The ripple effects that this stone has now cast.
Yeah, definitely looking to what can happen, what can become the next world reserve currency, because as we've seen, the dollar is diminishing, and that's actually what my next article really talks
Yes,
about.
it is.
So this is from Cointelegraph. Nice juicy headline. VanEck says Bitcoin could hit $4.8 million if it became the next global reserve asset. And it points out in this article, right, that is a big if. But if it became the world reserve asset and all M2 money flowed in, it would be anywhere from, I believe it says, 1.3 million to that 4.3 million. So, or 4.8 million, excuse me. 1.3 million to 4.8 million. And really, this article digs down, not necessarily that Bitcoin will be the next reserve currency, but it has potential to. We just, saw in Barnaby's article, right, that it's a growing asset, a hedge against the inflation that comes with the US dollar. But there are other contenders. And the biggest, gist from this story is really that the reserve currency will shift most likely, and people and nations will be looking to diversify or reshuffle their holdings. The Chinese yuan is, another contender. So what's it going to be? What's going to be the next world reserve asset? We'll have to wait and see. But there is something coming, because the dollar is definitely not holding strong. Here we say, RC in this article quoted, central banks are likely to change their reserve mix to the detriment of dollars and euros and yen, and the enhancement of something else. So, to one extent or another, as a result, some central banks and private actors will be diversifying their reserves. So yeah, we don't know what it's going to be. We don't know what the future will hold, but we'll be watching, and I sure hope it's Bitcoin. I sure hope it's some sort of cryptocurrency.
I mean, I think it has a good chance to be, right? Because when you look back at what made the US dollar the world reserve currency, it was because it was the hardest asset at the time. It was tied to gold, so it had a real value. Actually, if we're talking about the US getting, financially competitive again, right? If it just started tying its US dollars to Bitcoin, using Bitcoin, right, to back the dollar, then potentially that could stabilize the value of the US dollar.
Yeah, but they're not smart enough to do that.
No, they might just let it.
Though,
they might just let it.
He's back
pass it by.
Stable coin.
The other thing is, whenever you see numbers like this, you always got to remember, inflation has big effects over long periods of time. So it's hard to really gauge the value, right? When you see $1 million, that wouldn't be the same as having $1 million today. By the time that an asset like this could even devour a fraction of that market cap, right, the value of that's going to come down.
Yeah, $1 million is probably going to be the price of a gallon of gas.
That'll be $10 million
in California.
That's a good one. Yeah, well, speaking of economic hardships and who's learning from that, I have an article from a source I don't normally, from CNBC here. 1 in 5 adults has invested in, traded, or used cryptocurrency, NBC News poll shows. So digital assets continue to get more popular even as lawmakers warn of market risks. That's a good point. Is despite the negative narrative that we have with crypto, it doesn't that's not stopping 20% of Americans from experimenting with crypto, right? Dabbling in crypto. What's really interesting is the seeming seemingly it's used across most demographics, but especially men between the ages of 18 and 49.
Hey, that's us.
Hey, that's us. It even points out here that most people, right, despite demographics, it mentions race in here, right, that we're pretty much all invested in the Bitcoin equally. Like, this is something that you know we're all noticing, but especially us millennials, definitely some Gen X mixed in there with us, and some Gen Z. um the fact that 21% of the 1,000 Americans polled, said that they've used crypto at least once.
It's kind of a small sample, but
I mean, it is kind of
the chart controls the narrative.
That's right. And when you do the poll, you get to tell us what it said.
You know what? I'm going to poll us right now. Out of this room,
100% of Americans believe.
100% of Americans
based on this room of two.
And they even do a podcast and YouTube channel. Can you believe it?
Good call out there. Yeah, so there's definitely in this group, right? It says only 19% viewed crypto positively. It says 25% of them viewed it negatively, and the majority of them said they feel neutral or aren't sure about crypto. And I would definitely say that that's the biggest sentiment that I get when I talk to people, is they just don't really know what to think, right? Because you got people like us that really love it, people opposite to us that really love gold and other depreciating assets for some reason. And then you just got everybody in the middle. It's like, just all right. Oh, they'll learn eventually. The U.S. has already shown, well, we've talked about this many times tonight already, that the U.S. definitely has an interest in cryptocurrency, whether that be oversight, taxing, or monitoring, whatever the government feels it wants to do, it's going to do. It says here, many warn that the lack of federal oversight leaves consumers open to scams and dangerous price volatility. Again, I see what they restrict us from. I don't really see what they restrict, what they save us or protect us from.
Incredible student loans or predatory payday loans. Starting with things like that.
Yeah, predatory. What was it? We were watching Judge Judy. What was the
300%
payday loans?
It was 300%.
300% APR for the year.
He borrowed $5,000 and he paid back $12,000.
Oh God, that would be a sucky situation. What else we got here? Oh, so Republican Senator Cynthia Lummis, or
yes,
Lummis, is introducing a crypto bill in a few weeks. Her legislation is thought to include input from a range of government agencies and options from the industry. A lawmaker from Wyoming that is also very crypto positive. Investors in crypto exchanges have repeatedly asked Congress to offer guidance. This is what we said before. They're looking, okay, what can we not do? That's pretty much what.
And that's what Biden's executive order said too. Like, give clarity, figure out. It's like basically like, all right, come on, kids, like figure out what we can't do, who's in charge of what, how it's going to be, regulated.
Yeah, but in their case, is how they can control it, how we
can make money off of this.
Exactly.
But hopefully not stifle it. That's my hope, Not like the EU bill.
I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah, that's all I got.
We're done. All right. Well, Thank you, Cryptocurrency and Coffee Podcast. Thank you, Ryan Harris, crypto viewers.